I'm telling you, welcome everyone to Voices of Integrity virtual podcast for Coffee Connection. And it is so special to meet every week. I look forward to this. I do between 15 and 25 podcasts a week. And this is like my favorite. It's like there's so much energy, so much passion. I've got so many things that I want to get to. But before we jump to any of my stuff, Amy, what you got?
I do want to talk about the 530 grid and getting your ideal targets set up. We're reworking that and we're reworking it from a referral standpoint because I know referrals comes farther down the line. But when we're in like a BNI groups and chamber groups that are lead groups, knowing who our ideal target is and how to communicate that for them to find those to refer to us is something I think we've been struggling with.
Yeah. So there's two strategies there, I would say. And I think you can probably partner up with Life Masteries on the 3 minute because there's ideal prospects that don't turn out to be ideal prospects. And then there's other prospects that you don't think are ideal that could be great clients. And even the ones that aren't ideal prospects, even those, they know people who could be, right? And so, I don't think I've gone over the fishery principle. Nora, have you even experienced the fishery principle?
I know about it. I don't know. Trying to think of
Okay.
a situation where I've
Yeah.
experienced it.
It's such a great thing, but it's weird to me on how little that I talk about it. And so this is the fishery principle. So we all want the blue fish. That's the most, you know, meat on the bones. So that's where it's going to be. So you visualize the fishermen, and if they need a 10-pound salmon to make money, 9 pound, they lose money by the time they go through all the work. So if you catch a 10-pound salmon or a 9-pound salmon out in out on the lake or river, what do you do with it?
Well, under that principle, if you're losing money, you throw it back.
Oh, I think we did talk about this
But
one.
but most business owners would hold on to that mark because it's
Right,
something over nothing.
right. And they don't realize they're losing money forever. But what's even a smarter strategy, but harder strategy because it requires something totally different is you take that 9-pound salmon, take it back to shore, put it in a fishery.
Oh,
But see,
grow it.
that's totally different mindset
Yeah.
than other. So your options are change the netting to make the anything less than 10-pound go back. Because what's better than catching a 9-pound and throwing it back, never catching it in the first place? And
Yeah.
so, what's better than that? Take the 9-pound back, but take it back to the fishery. But it requires a totally different mindset. So most business people, they're out fishing, they're not farming, and that's why they end up owning a job rather than owning a company. And so, Life Masteries Institute, I think, can help business owners where every BNI person has the 30-minute or has the 3 minute from Life Masteries. It's free. It's a cool personality thing. And there's a new one that I'm working on, doing a lot of volunteer stuff on. And that one's going to be interesting. So I think by this weekend, I think I'll have something you can test out. So it's going to be fascinating. So there's going to be two of them running side by side to kind of see how it goes. And so, um, what you're looking for to find the ideal prospect is what is that killer question where you could ask one question. Oh, I don't know that I've shared this with you. So Tom Kuntz, when he was president of Century 21, they brought in this really high experienced psychologist, and the psychologist said, and Tom said to the psychologist, I want you, how do we recruit the best person? And so fascinating story. So they paid a lot of money. We get it for free. Like we don't like we get it. Like, and so how do you go ahead and get referrals? How do you get the ideal? Psychologist said, what you do, Tom, is you go ahead and take your best agent out to breakfast or lunch, put a recording on the table, tape recording, and say, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to record the answer. Is that okay? And they say, yes. So you start the recording. You say, what do you love about working with Century 21?
Mm.
And then it gets recorded. The psychologist was very precise in what they said. And that was take that recording, transcribe it, even if it's grammatically incorrect, and you put an ad in the paper and say, are you looking for this type of opportunity? And then you just say, this is what you plug that in. And he said, the universe, the universe, the energy, it will attract those same type of people. So the same thing is true with the ideal prospect, the same ideal franchise, all of that. Find the ideal franchise and then ask them that question and get 2 or 3 or 4 people or whatever you can. And that's going to draw the people here. That's going to draw the people here. Now, the marketing model, I don't know, will maybe, I have a feeling I won't get to my stuff today, which is fine.
Well,
It's
if we
fine.
need to pivot, we can, Mark, because that helps.
No, because it's good. It's good
Yeah.
because so here, the red, you're like, I'd rather have a bluefish. I'd rather have a really great client, highly paid, super nice, pays on time. But red's not bad. But these yellow, and there's a lot of yellow and green ones out here. I mean, there's a ton of them. So what you're doing is you're looking at a fishery where you're looking at getting all of the bluefish, getting the red to get into the center, and then fattening up the yellow and the green. And what's interesting is there's some of these yellow and green that actually will go very quickly into the A, into your blue. Like they just all of a sudden, you thought they were a yellow and green, but they weren't. They're actually, you want a system in place. So if you come up with 2 or 3 questions from the interviews of your ideal avatar, your ideal prospect, and then you ask a question. Now, it took me 19 and a half years, literally, to come up with that one question to determine if somebody was coachable. 19 and a half years, I pursued that. And I finally found if I ask this one question or series, I can tell if somebody's coachable or not. And so you're looking for that 1 or 2 or 3 questions. Now, it's almost like you need a hook. And so the biggest challenge question to me is the best question ever. Like what would you got a lot going. What would you say the biggest challenge that you're facing in any area of your business or life is? Now, when you do that, thousands, tens of thousands of times, like I have, I can tell based on somebody's how they respond at what level of individual and probably what income they're earning. So typically lower level people will say time. Higher level people would say something like how do I improve my sales closing ratio to save time? So there's different levels. And so this is really good. This here, the marketing model, this is another one of Tom's. So this is another one of Tom's here that he shared with me. So he calls it the marketing model. So he says something, there's a reticular activating system in the brain. So we buy a new car and it's a Mazda blue car. And it's like, all of a sudden we see all the Mazda blue cars out there we never saw before because now we're looking for it. We're looking for it subconsciously. And he said there's 4 levels in the buying cycle. The first is a person wouldn't it be nice, and this is subconscious, wouldn't it be nice to buy a home? Wouldn't it be nice to own a franchise? Wouldn't it be nice so wouldn't it be nice, but it's subconscious. And then 2, wouldn't it be nice because I had a friend who did this. I bought a house, bought a franchise, whatever. But it's still subconscious. But now they're starting to do justification on it. And then I need to actually pursue that. The 3rd level is I need to pursue this. This is, maybe you can't see it, it's very small. First 2 are subconscious. Then there's subconscious, or then it moves into conscious. And then it goes into level 4, which is where you contact the industry. This is where you become a 7 or 8 as a prospect is here. When you become a 9, which is what we all want in business, it's this little end zone. It's the red zone. Like in football, it's hard. You don't have as many plays. You can't go for a bomb. And
Mhm.
this is where a lot of people mess up, is right in that red zone. But now the question comes, when Tom shared this to me and I put this together in a visual model, it's like, boy, that's really cool. How do you accelerate this? How do you go ahead and take that 7-pound salmon, and normally in the wild it takes 2 years to get it up to 10 pounds. How do you do that in 6 months in a fishery? I actually discovered this with my middle daughter when she was a teenage girl. I actually discovered the secret for this. And so she was a teenage girl. She was like, I don't know, 13, 14. And her best friend was Noelle. And Noelle's dad, Todd, he and I were talking. And so it's our middle daughter of 7, and it's his youngest daughter of 6, I think. And they were friends. And we were talking, and I said something about, yeah, it seems like Katrina is much more interested in boys at a younger age
Mhm.
than her older sisters. He's like, yeah, I found that with Noelle too. And he says, I think I understand why. And I said, really? He's like, yeah. I said, why is that? He said, because the younger ones are exposed to the older ones dating, and so it activates something inside of them, so they become more interested in that at a younger age than the older ones. I'm like, that's fascinating. So I just took that principle and applied it to business, of course.
Yep. Yeah.
So you expose them to 3 and 4, you expose them to the stories, and that will accelerate their movement or growth in a particular area. Now, if you incorporate personalities into that, then it becomes even more, funky in what it's doing. So each of these are going to go ahead and be what causes one personality pain gives another personality pleasure. And so understanding the brain and the brain science of the dopamine and what's moving and what makes it even more complicated is we tend to like other people who are like us and fall in love with people who are opposite of us. And so there's a high probability, I'm guessing, you're not making a one-person sale in the franchise, you're making a two-person sale, my guess is.
Mhm.
So, like, if you're selling to the husband, he thinks he can sell to the wife, he can't.
Right.
Everything he says is going to push her away. you know, and so it's fascinating on how all these different pieces connect together. So, does that help, or is that just
Yeah.
way too much?
Nope. Thank you. That's amazing. I'm going to use it in my sales team meeting on Monday because I think it's some stuff we can shore up.
Nice. Nora, what you got?
You were saying something yesterday about like A, B, and C leads.
Yes.
Do you remember where you were
Yep.
said to bring it up?
Yep. So, Nora, she has a new interesting client. Like, he's fascinating, and so he went ahead and saw this model here. So he saw this model here. Well, he didn't. It was actually on the business X-ray. On the business X-ray, there's on the bottom, there's these steps here, and then there's these steps here on the bottom. I didn't even realize they were there on the X-ray. Nobody in 30 years has ever brought these up and asked, what are those A through D and what is the I through O? He brought it up. So this is the original 530 grid. It was built for a client, one of Synergy's first clients, and they said, Mark, we want you to engineer a recruiting system. And I'm like, okay. And so I built this model for them. And so here you have marketing. So you have all the different hundreds of different ways of generating leads, and you put them through a funnel, and then you have an assembly line like Willy Wonka in the chocolate factory. So then you go ahead and you put them on like a cookie dough, boom, and then it goes down and it goes through all these process to get them ready to become a sale. So this is pre-sales, this is marketing, this is pre-sales, this is the sales, and then it flows down in. This is where you have $50,000 plus an hour story is right in here. But there's a lot of $10 or $20 or $30 or $100 activity to get to this 50,000. Then you go ahead and it goes down into here. It goes down into here, and then you have your 80-20 rule, where 80% of your profit comes from 20% of your clients. Then what you do is then you go ahead and you see this like hourglass here. So what you do is you look underneath it. So you look underneath it. And so you look underneath it, and this is what you see underneath it. Hey, David, good to have you. So you see this underneath it. This is where 80% of your profit's going to be. So what you're doing is you're driving, this is going back to the fishery principle. So this is going back to the fishery principle into here, Nora. You have your A prospects are in your center. Your B prospects are the next. So it's like a target, a ring. And so you want to put like in person your most costly resource. So if you have three, like in the business x-ray, if you haven't done the business x-ray, definitely want to do that. So in the business x-ray, you have your three tools. You have your in-person, your phone, and direct mail, email, marketing, TV, radio. So your in-person, your most costly resource. Your phone is your next costly because it's one-on-one unless you're doing podcasts or something like that. And then your direct mail is your outer. So on your A and B, those are shifting. You have these fish, you think you have an A, and then they go to a B. Sometimes they go to a C. You're like, really? I think in your process, like Nora's got some crazy cool stuff going on with Top Gun. And Amy and her team are getting into it, which is really exciting. So this here is Life GPS mobile app, and it's got a CRM system in it, and it's tracking all these steps and percentages, what's called pressure points between these steps. And then it's graphing it out, and it's looking at trends. So your sales can be going up. Your sales can be going up, but your productivity is going down and you don't know it. You don't realize it. So once Tom went ahead and asked, he said, Mark, like just randomly, he's like, Mark, what's box 20? Out of nowhere. And I explained it to him. He's like, you got to be kidding. He said, I've never heard of such a thing. Is that possible to do? I'm like, I don't know. I've never been able to do it, but it's a great concept. And so it's being able to go through and break all of these things down. And so Nora, there's the least room in your A. Like in here, there's just no room to make mistakes. It seems like in pre-sales, it seems like you can make mistakes. In marketing, you can make mistakes. In servicing, you can make mistakes. And in client for life, you can make mistakes. Here, you can't make any mistakes. You've got to be flawless. Like literally seconds make the difference. This is where your pilot training, I think, will come in. So taking off from the runway is pretty important. Landing, really important to do that well. So I think you take your training that you have there in your mindset and you zero in on that. Your B leads, you want to go ahead and ideally over time, Nora, you want to dish that off to somebody else.
Okay.
So ideally, you train somebody as an assistant to do your pre-sales or future people that are doing sales. When you first started, you really started working, B leads, and then you started seeing me go ahead and talk to people, connect with people, move people, and then you're learning how to do that. you want to do the same thing to somebody else that I did to you. So you want to get other people. So ideally, like your, first year sales, it's very unusual to make $250,000. Like not very many people do that. Because of the experience, because of momentum, because of a lot of things. You get this down, like you look at how long it actually takes to sell, like the $155,000 an hour story. Like you look at how long sales takes, it doesn't take much time. But building up to it and follow up of it, that takes a lot of time. So you want to get like what you want to say, what with my A leads, what am I going to do with them? And then you're flawless in that. It's like landing. You don't make a mistake. You just don't, because you don't get another chance at it. So, and then your B lead, you say, okay, what defines an A lead? What defines a B lead? And then what's a C lead? And so you have focus on your A leads. You have triple coverage on those. So you're in person, if you even do in person, which, I think I'd recommend often not. But if you do, it's your one-on-one time. It's the most important. That's the thing. You don't make a mistake on them. You don't call them back a day late. I mean, you're all over them. Your B leads, you cover your A and B with phone, and you cover direct mail, email, TV, radio with your A, B, and C. So you have a triple coverage on your A's. You have single coverage on or double coverage on your B's, and then single coverage on your C's, and you're moving them all in. You're looking for those because you can see here sometimes there's a bluefish that's in the B area, or there's some that are in the C area, or they're coming in. That's what you're looking for. That's how you maximize it. So it's a way of thinking, but then it's also you mechanically, how do you do it with the CRM or your manual system or whatever people are using? Does that make sense?
Yes, thanks.
David, good to have you with us. Anything you have, sir? We are not able to hear you if you're talking. We apologize for that. Okay. So if you can find out, maybe there's technology things. So, the Top Gun, I think, Amy, so that has been, in like, how do we onboard you and your team members into Top Gun? And so right now, what is there is you have month one, you have highlights here, some of the best sessions here. And then you have month one, and month two, month three, month four, month five, month six. Now, the three that are going through it are Nora and Kenny and Luke. So they're in every morning. So we go from 5:30 to 5:15 to 5:45 roughly. And those are live. And so we go on and we go around the virtual room and ask them, and they share what they share. And so because I know them, I'm able to go ahead and so if somebody hits month one, there's a high probability they might get lost. Like I don't know. Like, well, how does this apply? So I think that probably your three team members, like my gut feel is there's going to be different groups in Top Gun. So there's going to be hardcore salespeople. Well, in that group, there's going to be brand new people. There's going to be people making $10 million a year. So there's going to be but there's going to be high level people, brand new people. Mm-hmm. Well, there are some things that they can learn from one another, but then there's other stuff. Then there's going to be business owner, and they're not salespeople, but they are. But then there's going to be employees. Then there's going to be marketing people. So I believe that Top Gun, I believe Top Gun's for everyone. I think there's going to be a Top Gun for moms and for children. Everybody needs to know how to sell.
I agree.
And so my guess is with your three, what we would do is we would do like an onboarding with you and your other two team members into Top Gun, and we'd give them kind of vision for it, and then we give them, because here's kind of what it is, and then my son Ben, he's going into Top Gun too, and so then we would have different, so we'd have different paths people could go. So what's the best path? So maybe, I mean, Kenny and Luke and Nora are selling very different things. So maybe going down through here, there's a whole bunch of nuggets that are scattered throughout all of this. What we want to do is, what we know is we want, like, I think people will subscribe to this for their whole lives. I mean, I can see where somebody would go forever. But what we know we got to do is, the first time they experience Top Gun, they got to go dopamine hit in the brain and like, oh my goodness. And then there's the different levels of Top Gun. And so and so we're going to probably start developing. So here you have, okay, so the basic. And so people that are entering here, which is fine, that's great. What path is the best path for them to take? And then intermediate. Okay, you're jumping in on the intermediate. Okay, what's the best path for you? And then the advanced, and then the Top Gun. And the one that's the highest level is level 5, it's the Top Gun flight instructor. And so how do you go ahead and become that? How do you do that? And so we're excited for that. Any questions you have on that, Amy?
No, we're excited, and I'm going to get us all registered today.
Okay, super. Sounds good. All right, Nora, anything else you got?
Nope.
Ooh, we still have 5 minutes, Amy. Oh, Amy and I, starting next week, we're going to have another podcast after this. This is going to be a podcast like you've never experienced before in your life. And so theoretically, everything that's good is bad. Everything that's bad is good. So there's good guilt, bad guilt, good stress, bad stress, all of that kind of stuff. So I realized when I was at the age of 15 that I had a very addictive personality. I don't know how. I actually do know how. Like, I realized, I'm like, you have a very addictive personality. You can never touch alcohol or drugs or cigarettes, or shoot, you can't even drink coffee. So I'm 62 years old, never even had a drop of coffee in my life, because I just have that addicted. So what we want to do is help people to realize that, like I did at 15. Like, it would save people so much time in life, and so much better if they just never took their first drink of coffee. It's a gateway drug. I get myself into trouble, but it's okay. And but I've got some people in my life that I believe are alcoholics. And so, and I've got other people that are drug addicts.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm trying to do is, what I'm hoping to do is, so I did this one here, addictions. So Voices of Integrity for Addictions. And this is with my youngest son, Tim, who struggled with it over his whole life. And so here's addictions for everything: addictions for anger, addictions for thinking, alcohol, sugar, drugs, pornography, hoarding, entitlement, shopping. There's a whole bunch of stuff. And so working on how do we, like, and I've never been able to find out, like, there's supposed to be, like, can you be addicted to something that's good for you?
And I think you can. I think we can redirect some of that, because I also feel like I have an addictive personality. That's hence why we're doing the podcast.
Right. So I think like it's like being addicted to growing.
Mm-hmm.
So this year that's my theme. So anyways, so stick around if you want. Like, both of you think these are not interconnected, but they are, because I think probably the best salespeople in the world, the best business owner in the world, probably have a lot of high addictive personalities. Like, they just are.
Mm-hmm.
But they know, I can't be wasting my time and energy and money into those things, because Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to achieve my full potential. So hopefully this was really cool for all of you. Look forward to next week. If you have any questions, connect with the individual who invited you to participate in today's session, or you can call toll free 888-230-2300 outside the US 630-393-9909. And always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye. We'll see ya.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate you guys. See you next week.
Yep. Bye-bye.